All right, everybody. So, I'd like to introduce you to the first episode of Muscle-Ology. That's the name of this podcast. This is my first one, right? This is where I'm going to fumble through this. I have written down some talking points. I'm sure anybody that's ever started a podcast has gone through the same stuff. I have no coaching whatsoever as far as this goes. I've watched a lot of podcasts. I listen to podcasts every day. This is something that I've desired to do probably for a few years now, but wondered, does the world really want another podcast? Does the world want to listen to some old guy who doesn't have a bunch of titles behind his name and that type of thing, right? Because a lot of people, that's what they look for. But what I've also come to realize is that in my almost 54 years on this earth, there is a huge group of people that are your everyday man, woman, especially the older group, over 40s, that can't accept or don't want to bother or be bothered with the way things are going right now on social media. And I'm talking about a wide variety of topics, right? Anything from politics to religion to family matters. But what this channel, what this podcast, what my coaching business, all of this is really about is helping people cut through all that. I am the type of guy who likes to do research into everything. If it's something that I'm passionate about, which could be politics, Christianity, religion, theology, the different things like that. Mostly the taboo topics that nobody likes to talk about, right? And so I've done a lot of study in a lot of these things. Did I go to school for any of them? No. But at the same time, I personally believe you learn more outside of school. I'm not discrediting any kind of colleges or anything like that. We need people to be properly trained in the field of medicine and different things like that. But in the age of social media and the internet and everything like that, with the amount of information that's out there, anybody that really applies themselves is going to be able to get some head knowledge to help people. And I'm the kind of person that, for a long time thought, keep everything up here, help a couple of people here and there. Nobody really wants to listen to you anyways. So just keep your mouth shut, kind of a thing, right? But I've come to realize through certain life events that that's not the proper way to go about it. There's a lot of people out there confused. There's a lot of people hurting. There's a lot of people wanting to change the direction of their life. I want to kind of get into mental health issues as I move along in this podcast and as you get to know me better. There will be things about me that I will reveal to you. Maybe it will help you understand where I'm coming from, why I am the way that I am, and maybe it'll help somebody out there, right? I highly doubt I'm going to be picked up and discussed in the broader world of anything to do with strength building, muscle building. There's a lot of big names out there, and a lot of big apparel companies and all that kind of thing. And this is for my circle of people that I influence, and maybe people that they have contact with, family members, friends, training partners, co-workers, that type of thing, kids. Maybe they can spread what I have to say down to them, right? That's kind of how I'm coming at this with my whole page set up, and I've gone through several different names. You probably see that. I have a YouTube channel. This is on Spotify. Just got this going. A coaching business. TikTok, I just started doing that like a week and a half ago. Instagram, Facebook, and whatever else there is. That's pretty much all that I'm on right now. So I'm learning as I go with this too, right? How to reach people. And to be honest with you, I am a little bit nervous. I do accept critique. I like critique. I want to make myself better, but I also know out there that there's just people in the social media world that are going to hate no matter what. And I'm pretty good when it comes to leaving comments and writing, paragraphs on flaming people out because of how they're treating people online. But at the same time, I have to be willing to take criticism. And that's part of getting older, part of getting life experience, that you're only going to get better if you listen to what people are saying, the bad and the good, and be able to filter that out, right? There are people out there, I've learned, that are going to hate you no matter what you do, because that's just their mentality. They're miserable in their own lives. They have to project the pain and suffering that they're going through. And that's the truth of it, is they probably had terrible upbringings, or they had no discipline growing up and they were let to roam free and say and do and feel however they wanted, no guidance. And now they're adults and all they can do is hurt people. And that's what they get off on, right? And I don't like bullies. I was bullied a lot as a child. So when I see bullies on the internet, whether it's on a Facebook or an Instagram or whatever it is, going after what would be considered the weaker people, I get really mad. Okay? And I'm just going to be straight up with you. I might drop colorful language here and there. I'll try the best to keep it clean. I am a pipeliner by trade, so I do speak the language of pipeliners. But I'll do my best because I want to appeal to a broad spectrum of people, and I'm sure they don't want to hear me drop the F-bomb all the time. So that's just kind of a rabbit trail, and that's another thing about me is you'll learn. I get caught off on rabbit trails, and my brain just is constantly running 1,000 miles a minute, and I'm learning to discipline myself and try and stay on topic. If you ever seen me writing on a piece of paper, and I have notes right here what I want to talk about, if you ever seen me writing, you'll notice that I purposely have to try and force myself to write slow. My brain is moving way faster than my hand can keep up. And it is an actual problem for me. So there's many things in my life that I am trying to discipline myself on. And that's one of the main reasons why I want to start this podcast, get involved in the things I want to get involved with, collaborate and affiliate with other organizations out there. I was contacted by an apparel company yesterday while I was in the gym. We messaged back and forth on Instagram. From what I can see, their mission statement is absolutely something I agree with. It's mostly directed towards men and mental health, but that doesn't mean they leave females out of it, right? It's just a specific group trying to do something with the state of men's mentality, right? And I don't think you have to go too far to see that men are under attack. And yeah, all people groups and genders and ethnic groups and everything, they're all under attack all the time, right? That's humanity. That's just what humanity does. You know, we're all screwed up. We're all messed up, right? And people are reacting and lashing out in the only way they know how. And when you're able to hide behind, your computer screen or in a basement or whatever it is, it's easy to just talk trash. My era, we didn't have that. And if you talk trash out on the playground or at the end of the block, you got your clock cleaned. You learned a lesson, and then you moved on and you didn't do that anymore. That stuff's gone now. So now we're left to deal with how do we react to these people. And for me, I'm finding, especially if you have a blank profile, that I'm just going to flame you out one time, call you out and tell you that you're not worth losing any sleep over or wasting mental space because you don't even have enough guts to put yourself out there like other people are. So here I am. I'm putting myself out here for however many people will pick up and watch these episodes. I'll get critique. I hope most of it is positive, telling me what I can do better. I hope some of it is you guys giving me ideas, what I can do with the channel, information that you guys want to know, guys and girls, men and women, what you guys want, what you would like to be informed on. And I'm going to deal with a variety of topics. And the topics I'm going to bring to you, I'm going to learn from other podcasters. I'm going to learn from research that's online, stuff that anybody could dig into. My point of this podcast is I know that the majority of people like me are not going to want to take the time to do that. They're busy raising kids. They're busy trying to make a buck. It's hard to pay rent and pay mortgage and pay car payments today. So the last thing they're worried about is trying to dig in and waste their time researching on things. But at the same time, they want to know how they can improve their lives in health, in finances, whatever that is. And, my shtick isn't going to be finances. My shtick is going to be life experience, what I've done, what I've learned from, what I know, what I have in here, and passing it on down to people. Whether it's in the world of lifting, whether it's in the world of just nutrition and dieting, sleep, hormone replacement therapy, those are the things I'm going to deal with the most, right? All the noise that's out there and the confusion is, this is the program you need to follow. This is the rep scheme you need to follow. Don't train to failure. You're not working hard enough. This diet, keto diet, carnivore diet, high carb, low carb, no carb, all this stuff, right? It just gets confusing. You pick up on one thing and they present a bunch of stuff that looks like evidence and good facts, but yet it's not peer reviewed, and then you stumble across another group and they say everything over there was absolutely wrong and they're idiots and they're morons, don't listen to them, listen to me. And what I'm going to try and teach people is most of those people have a financial stake in what they're trying to sell, right? So they can't let you listen to other information. They can't let you compare them to other things, right? They're not really concerned about what's best for you. What they're concerned about is keeping their movement, their business financed, and making a buck. I work for a living. I work 40, 50 hours a week. I am a pipeliner by trade, okay? But my job now is no longer in the trenches. My job now is training the men and women that work for us in the natural gas pipeline industry, making sure they're qualified to do what they do out in the field. And yes, I'm on the clock 40 to 50 hours a week, but that job consumes more hours than that. There's times I have to take calls on a Sunday or a Saturday or a Friday evening. There's times I have to leave and travel on a Sunday afternoon. And I'm not necessarily getting paid for those things, okay? But I care about what I do, and I'm willing to take the extra mile. It's provided for my family quite well. I'm no longer having to break my back after 25 years in the trenches. Now it's all up here, right? And so I know what it's like to try and make a living and support a family. I have 5 children, been married 23 years. My oldest child, she's 28 years old, right? Then we have my son who's 26, a daughter who would have been 23, a 19-year-old who's getting ready to be married here in a month, and a 15-year-old. One kid left in school, right? So I have a lot going on. I understand being busy. I understand not having the time to do the research. I understand, the decisions that are made to take control of your health and how easy it is to let yourself get out of control with health. As we move on in this show, I learn how to edit and different things like that. I will be showing you before and after pictures. I will be sharing life stories and how I let my health go off the rail. And me and my wife both, okay? She's just as equal partner in this, what we're trying to do as anybody. Our coaching business, which we just got launched, Blue Water Physique, here in the Blue Water area of St. Clair County, Michigan. We're just trying to take on the normal moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas, help them get their health in order so that they can have a better quality of life. At the same time, I don't believe in pricing it out of their reach, right? Like I said, it's hard enough to make ends meet. Literally, it's hard enough to do that. You go to the grocery store and you have a couple of kids, and even if you're just a single person and you're living out on your own, you're doing all you can to pay your rent, pay your phone bill, pay your car insurance, pay your car payment, pay all your utility bills, and then eat food. And then we're trying to tell you, you need to be in a gym and you need to hire me as a coach. Now, how could I, in good conscience, price that out of anybody's range that's a typical blue-collar, white-collar person? I can't sit here and justify charging $200-$300 a month. Now, if you're a professional athlete and those type of people, that's out of my wheelhouse anyways. That's not who I'm here for. And all praise to the coaches that know all that stuff and can get professionals on the stage, in the arena, in the field, doing whatever they do as far as the health and the strength and the programming for that stuff. They are worth what they charge. They just are, okay? What I'm bringing as a service is for the everyday person, and I'm going to continue to beat that drum. I'm here for the everyday person, the person that just makes a small wage, a blue-collar, white-collar wage, that wants to get into the gym, that wants to know how to have a meal plan and eat correctly and what types of food to eat and what's best for them to do, and wants questions answered about hormone replacement therapy, wants questions answered about, what type of program should I be doing in the gym? How much cardio is too much cardio? All these things that if you scroll through social media and you're even clicking on any of those links, you get bombarded because you clicked on one with all different types of information, right? And it just gets confusing. It gets to the point where you just throw your phone or your laptop or whatever to the side and say, screw it, and go make yourself a meatloaf sandwich, right? And I love cold meatloaf sandwiches, so don't get me wrong. So, with all that said, the introduction. My name is Webb Bailey. My wife, Brandy, St. Clair County, Michigan. Our intent and purpose of our business is to help people transform their physiques. That's the coaching side of things, right? We build nutrition plans. We build meal plans. We can even give you the foods that you eat. We'll break the meals down into macros for each meal so that you're meeting what you need. We calculate what your macros should be at based on what your goals are. You want to lose weight, you got to be in a calorie deficit. You want to maintain your physique because you're at where you want to be and you're happy with it, you need to be at maintenance calories, okay? You need a program developed for what your goal is, okay? If you're trying to lose weight, you're not going to be as strong in the gym, so we want you at a higher rep, lower weight kind of thing. We want you to institute cardio 3-4 days a week. We want you to get your steps in, that type of thing, till we get you down to a comfortable body weight. And that involves knowing what your blood work says, right? How is your blood pressure? What are all the markers on your blood panel saying? We want all those things in order too, right? Your A1C and your hematocrit and all that kind of stuff. The big fancy words my brain's not letting me say right now because still things are rattling around about how I want to do this professionally, okay? So I'm going to grow as I do this. Hopefully you grow along with me in what I have to offer by sending us messages, right? You can DM us on Instagram at bluewater_physique. You can Facebook us at Bluewater Physique and TikTok, Muscle-Ology, okay? Actually, I have a couple of Instagram handles. So like I said, it's the Bluewater Physique, and then it's muscle_ology, OLGY, and I'll explain why that name here in a minute. But, so yeah, we got different ways. You can leave a comment right here on Spotify, asking for more information if you want it on coaching, whatever it is. All right. So our purpose, and I got things written down so I can keep this brain kind of in line. So I kind of got into what our purpose is, right? But let me kind of elaborate on that. Our purpose is based on what we have personally gone through. Okay. After being married 23 years and having just about everything that life could throw at you, and I'm gonna reach down here and get me a slug of water. Okay. So, married 23 years, 5 kids. We know what life throws at you, you know. We've been through a lot, and I'm not going to get into all of that right now, but you name it, especially in the last 6 years, we've been through it, okay? We just have. And everybody has since 2020, right? And I think now is the time to strike when the iron's hot, because since 2020, people have realized you can't trust the powers that be when it comes to your health. You just can't. And so people are looking for the truth. People are looking for ways to actually improve their health. And they're looking for people that have been through the thing, right? They've been through the situations and know how to come out of it on the other side. Healthier, stronger, better looking. Physique-wise, you know, there's nothing I can do about this face, but I can transform my body, and that's what I've done. My wife's got all the beauty, so, and that's the way that it should be. So our purpose is to reach men and women like you, okay? You're out there grinding away. You're raising your kids, or your kids have left home, and they're building lives, and you're going to have grandkids on the way, and you just want to be able to keep up with your grandkids, right? You want to get out on the playground and run down the slide with them. There's no reason that you can't do that at 70, 80 years old. There's just not. You might be way far out of shape right now, but there's things that can be done at a progressive level that suits your needs so you don't get injured and those types of things, get you on a proper meal plan, get you on a proper lifting program. And yes, I want everybody lifting. And I also want to dispel a myth, especially for the females, right? Just because you start lifting weights does not mean you're going to turn into a gigantic bodybuilder with huge bulging muscles, okay? There is a lot that goes into getting a physique like that, all right? The amount you eat, the amount of things you inject into your body, the type of training that you do, and I'm going to say this again, the amount you eat, okay? All these different types of things, your genetics, your age, all these things play a factor into how you're going to look and how you're going to feel. So, nobody just wakes up one morning and boom, they're a huge, gigantic bodybuilder or strongman. It just doesn't happen that way. So if you're a female and you're worried about how you're going to look, you're going to be looking in the mirror every day at your physique. And you're going to reach a point where you say, this is what I like. This is how I like how I look. I like how I feel. My blood works good. I feel great in the gym. I don't care about getting any stronger. I want to maintain what I have. And then we plan to keep you there by the amount of food you need to eat. You see, that's what maintenance means when you're talking about maintenance calories. It's determining what your body needs to operate day to day based on what you do every single day. It's like this. Think of it like this. You put enough gas in a car because you're planning a long trip, right? You're going to put the exact amount of gas you need, and maybe it's across country to get you to another destination, right? You're going to fill the tank right up. A full tank is going to get you to point B, and then you're going to have to fill up again, right? If you don't put enough gas in, you're going to run out halfway to your destination, okay? It's the same thing with eating, all right? If your goal is to put on size, we need to put more food in you than what your body actually needs every day based on what you do, your job, your training, your cardio, all these types of things. If your goal is to lose weight, we have to put less food in you than what your body demands. That's how it's going to burn the excess body weight fat that you have so that you can get down to the number you want to be at. And I'm also going to throw this in there. A body weight number is just that. It's just a number. Okay, and I know it's extremely difficult when you look at that scale and you see a certain number and you have all of the medical field and all of the social media field telling you you need to be at A, B, or C number, right? I'm just going to tell you straight up, the number means absolutely nothing. It's a mark that we can use to track that you're making progress in either direction, right? But at the end of the day, it's going to be based on how you feel, how you look, and what you need to do day to day. That's literally how simple it is. And the world of social media and everything like that has made it so difficult that people have given up. And that's our purpose. We want to meet you at your goal. We want to take you where you want to go and not charge you an arm and leg to do it. And I'm telling you, what we charge is ridiculous if you were to compare us to anybody else, okay? And I won't talk about the rates here. That stuff we'll discuss because there are certain levels depending upon how involved you want to get. If you just want basic programming and get you started and that's it, you don't want meal planning, you don't want nutrition advice, you want any of that, we have a certain basic level. All the way on up to you want us to help you track your hormones, send you to a good clinic, a good doctor, get you lined up with that stuff, tell you the numbers that you should be at based upon what you want. That's really advanced. We can get you there too. But even from A to B, okay, we still don't price anybody out of existence. It's just, I don't believe in charging people a lot for things they could find out by themselves. They just don't have the time to do so. All right. I've done this a lot of years for free. I myself have had 4 different coaches. Okay. And I want to do a shout out because this flag right here behind me, I know you can't see all of it, but it says Massive Iron, Coach Steve Shaw. Okay. Now, he's not the only coach that has helped us in our journey. There's several others, okay? And we're working with a bodybuilding coach right now who is affiliated in part of a group called High Calling Fitness. Check them out, I'm not here to try and take business away from anybody or shoot anybody down, okay? They're good people over there. They have 3 different coaches, okay? Coach Will, who's helping us in our new adventure into going into bodybuilding. But they also have Justin Johnson over there who helps you with the strongman and powerlifting, whatever way you want to go. And then they have Amanda Croker. And Amanda, please forgive me if I'm saying that name wrong. But she can help you with bodybuilding and things like that too, especially if you're a female, because she's competed. And so is Coach Will. And Justin has competed in strongman and powerlifting. So I myself have competed in strongman. So has my wife. In my late 20s, I competed in several different powerlifting competitions. Deadlift only. I didn't feel like doing 3 lift meets. I did 3 lift meets when I was in high school. Okay, so I know what it's like to get up there on stage and compete. I know the nerves that get into it and all that. And if you're somebody that wants to compete, I will steer you in the direction of people that write those type of programs. Okay, I'm here, like I've said a million times, for those that just want to live their life healthy. They want to get into shape. They want to get stronger. They want to look better. They want to feel better. All that kind of stuff. That's what I'm here for. And I'm completely cool with sending people in the right direction to coaches that can be trusted. And the people that I mentioned, you can trust them because I've worked with them all. I've had them all on, I guess you could say, payroll. I paid them, to be my coach and my wife's coach and to help us out. And they've helped us tremendously. I want to give a shout out to Justin over there at High Calling Fitness. He jumped in there and offered services for free just because we were friends, took video calls because me and my wife were going through an extremely dark time. And I'm not going to get into that right now. That'll go into the future, maybe a separate episode, right? But it was an extremely dark time in our life, and my health went way off the rails to the point if I had kept doing what I was doing, I wouldn't be around very much longer. Okay, and he helped pull me out of that. So I want to give props to him, Justin Johnson over there at High Calling Fitness. Follow them over on Instagram. Follow them on Facebook. Whatever else he's on, I don't know. Those are the two main things that I've always used, other than TikToking now. Um, Folks, that's something I'm learning. I'm putting myself out there on all these other social media things. You know, me as a soon-to-be 54-year-old pipeliner, kind of getting into this world of social media and doing a podcast, it's all kind of strange to me, right? And I'm learning as I go. And again, this falls into my purpose. But I know that's the world we live in now. And if you have a message, this is the best way to get it out. And my message is, I want you, everyday man and woman, and man and woman, I mean teenagers too, coming through high school, right? And you're confused and you don't know where to start. You know, you're hearing people saying jump on steroids early. I'm going to talk you out of that. And I'm going to explain to you why you don't want to do things like that. You know, you want to do a keto diet. You want to do a carnivore diet. Okay, cool. Those things work for a purpose and for a while. But I'm going to teach you as you go along why it's not a sustainable choice, health choice, life choice that you want to stay on forever. Okay? I believe God created all foods for a purpose. Okay? Your fruits and vegetables and things like that are good sources of carbs. You got your meats for your proteins, which contain fat, and so do some of the, the fruits and vegetables, and grains and beans and all those types of things, right? And then you have your fat sources, okay? All those things we need for different purposes, all right? And I'm not going to get into all the nutrition, but I'm going to help you cut through that red tape. We've done the keto diet. We've done a sort of a carnivore diet. We've done don't even care kind of a diet, right? Where you just eat everything. You know, when you're younger, you can do that type of thing. And being in strongman and powerlifting and coming, out of the 90s doing that type of thing, it was just eat big, get big. But as you get older, you can't sustain that. And that's a hard thing to have to accept for a guy like me who only wanted to be big all the time and strong as a bull, right? I still want to be big, and I still want to be strong as a bull. But I'm an older bull now, okay? And older bulls have to do things differently. And older females, the same thing. You got to do things differently, okay? Doesn't mean that you're not strong. Doesn't mean that you're not big. Be the biggest and strongest, most jacked 50-year-old, 45-year-old, wherever you're at. Over 35, wherever you're at, okay? I want to get you to the pinnacle of where you're at. And I want to offer a service that you're able to do that, okay? I'm fully aware that people I take on are probably not going to want to have a coach forever, okay? Maybe they will. That would be great, all right? I would love to do that, my wife and I both. Could this get to something to where my wife no longer has to work because we're so busy she has to run this side of things, all the social media and writing out the programs that I tell her that need to be written and all that type of thing? That would be awesome, right? She's only working part-time, and it's not because we actually need it. It's just because we like to have a little play money and do a couple extra little things with our kids, stuff like that, like everybody does. But one of the reasons why I started deciding to charge and not just giving everything away for free is throughout my history of doing that thing, I realized people will value more if they have something invested into it, right? And if they're taking their hard-earned money and investing it into somebody like me or my wife to tell them what they need to do, they're more apt to listen and follow the plan. Let me give you a couple of examples of what I mean and the frustration that comes from offering advice to people who just disregard it, right? So, more often than not, a guy like me in the gym is going to draw attention, okay? And I'm not saying I'm some great, big, strong, whatever, right? But in your average gym, with the average person, I'm a little bit above that, especially at my age, pulling the numbers, doing the things I've done. Now, I can do those things because I've been lifting since I was 14 years old, maybe even 13. However old I was when I was bought my first Kmart cheapy weight set. And some of you older guys, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? That cheap bench that you put together with the plastic covered weights that had cement inside them. If you broke and cracked, chunks of cement fell out, right? You know what I'm talking about. That's where I first got my hands on some weights. All I had before that was watching Rocky, which inspired every 80s kid that ever got into anything physical afterwards. It was Arnold, it was Sylvester Stallone, then come along Van Damme and all those other guys, right? They were the ones that inspired you to want to be big and strong and do all that kind of thing, right? So, that's how far back my lifting career goes. And I've been through all the mistakes. I've been crushed underweight because of, trying to be too macho. I've done all the different meal plannings. I've run all the different types of programs that are out there. Did the strongman, trained that for years, competed, had the injuries, all that type of stuff. And at this point in my life, I know what it's like to go through those things. I also know what it's like to get injured to the point where you had to pull out of a competition. And how discouraging that is, and how you almost want to give up on everything. So I know all those things. I know how to get out of that. I know how to get you healed up. It takes time. There's going to be mental frustration. You're going to want to give up. And I think it's important that you have a coach that has been through all of life, right? And still has a full-time job, still has family obligations, isn't doing this thing for a living, and isn't, obviously the prices I charge are not going to support my family, okay? So I'm hoping that all these things prove to you that my genuine drive and reason why I want to do this is because I'm passionate about it. Anybody that knows me knows that whatever I'm passionate about, I'm going to talk to you excited. I'm getting kind of elevated right now. And that's just who I am. Sometimes my wife thinks I'm angry when we're talking and discussing, but it's just I get elevated when I get passionate. It's just how I operate. And then I listen to her and I try and tone it down because, I'm speaking to my wife. But when I'm talking like this and I started getting amped up and I thinking all the things I'm thinking in my head and moving my hands around and all that different type stuff, right? My eyes are going everywhere. I'm like a ferret on crack in a hamster cage, just spinning around. That's just the way that I am. My wife says, "What are you thinking about?" And she's learned that she can't just ask me that question because some of your older people will know, the old Rolodex where you spun it, right? And it had all the names and addresses and contacts in there. My mind is like a Rolodex that's constantly doing this. And when you say, "What are you thinking about?" I have to stop that Rolodex really fast and see where the card falls. Because whatever I was thinking about is already 15 seconds in the past. My brain has moved on by the time you ask me that question, okay? So I'm learning to try and breathe, dial it down, let my mouth catch up with my brain because my brain moves faster than my mouth, which causes it to push things out of my mouth that I should have probably thought about first, okay? So I'm just being completely bare bones honest. What do I got to lose, right? What do I have to lose by being honest and letting you know everything about me, okay? Another thing that I've learned in my older age is if you want to improve, you have to have self-reflection. And you have to be honest with yourself. You have to take the critiques of the people, the good and the bad, the honest and dishonest, and evaluate yourself and look at yourself in the mirror. Record yourself doing lifts. Record doing things like this and then listening to yourself. So one of the exercises I do every morning, almost every morning, is looking dead eye in the mirror at myself. And when I have done something and totally fucked it up, and look at myself and think, "Why did you do that, Webb?" And just stare at myself. And that is uncomfortable to do. I'm just going to be honest with you. All right? But it's one of the things I've instituted in my own life to help me be a better person. Talk to my wife, talk to my kids. Having 4 daughters, I have a son too, but having 4 girls and a wife will knock all the hard edges off of you. It really will, okay? And I greatly value all the lessons that my daughters have taught me, okay? Anyway, I get a little emotional when I think about my girls. So, with all that, that's me, right? That's kind of my life story. That's kind of why I'm at where I'm at, and what I have to offer is just raw and real. All right, and disagree with me, agree with me, dislike me, like me. Those things don't necessarily matter anymore. I'm here for the people that genuinely want help, want to pick my brain, want to pick up our services, and see what we have to offer and how it can help them and be in it for the long haul. There's no short journeys here, okay? What I'm talking about, improving physiques and life and health and all these things and getting you back on track, if you've spent a lifetime getting yourself out of shape, It's going to take a while to get you to where you want to go and then teach you how to stay there, okay? You didn't screw it up overnight. We can't put it back together overnight either, okay? So one of the things I drive is discipline and dedication. If you're coming to me for motivation, you've come to the wrong place. I'm going to motivate you, okay? I know how to motivate people. But I don't want you relying on my motivation every day. Because there's days that I'm not motivated to do the things I have to do. Do you think I want to crawl out of bed every morning at 4:30 a.m. or 5 a.m.? Crawl underneath a cold shower, and by cold shower, I mean I have a shower set up outside off of a garden spigot, shower head and all, and I just throw on my trunks and go out there and stand out there and let that cold water just hit. And there's many reasons why I do that, okay? A couple of the health benefits is it just gets the blood moving. It gets my sore, achy muscles that I wake up with every single day feeling better. It gets me awake, gives me clarity, gets me ready for what I have to do. But it's also a mental exercise. It's I don't want to do that, therefore I must do it. Okay? And that's how I'm trying to operate my life, and I'm trying to teach people. You might say, screw that, I ain't doing cold showers. Okay, fine. You don't want to do a cold shower, nobody's telling you have to. But if you want to reframe the way your brain thinks, then you have to start accepting the fact that you need to do things you don't want to do. Because that's going to improve you mentally. There is a lot of things I don't want to do, all right? But I make myself do them because it's good for up here. It refocuses things up here, okay? One of the reasons the wife and I chose to do a bodybuilding show, and really was my main reason, okay? Because mentally I am a mess, and you might pick up on that, maybe you don't, but mentally I'm a mess. And the fact that I can keep it together after my life is all by God's grace. I'm just going to tell you that straight up, all right? I should be a basket case under a bridge on the side of a road with a vodka bottle in my hand. That's where I should be, okay? So I've been completely blessed that I'm not there because I have a humongous, strong support team. My wife, number one, okay? I can't thank God and her enough for how she's kept it together. My kids, like I already mentioned, my church family, and my close friends, right? And even coworkers and things like that who came to our aid. So I have an immense support group, and that's important to have. All right, it really is. You're not meant to walk through life alone. You're just not, because you're just not going to survive. Okay, it's kind of like being in a jungle alone with every predator, poisonous, venomous snake, spider, ant that you could think of, every flesh-eating predator that you can think of, waiting to tear you apart in a jungle, and you're all by yourself. What do you think is going to get you through better? A guide that's been through it and taken many other people through it, or you going at it on your own completely unarmed? What do you think is going to be a better chance for you making it through that jungle? Okay, and that's what life is. And you need people who've been through that jungle and know how to cut shit out of the way to give you success, to get you onto the other side, right? Into clearing again. I think that's a pretty good analogy because that's what my life has been. It's been a jungle full of all the things that I've told you about. And if it weren't for the people God has put into my life, most importantly, my wife, my life was nothing but a shitstorm until I met her. I'm just being straight up, and I'm not trying to downgrade my mom and dad or anything like that. Everybody has issues, right? But my life did not get straight until I met my wife, and I thank God every day for her. I don't deserve her. I don't. I don't deserve the kids. Here I am just being kind of raw again, but I don't deserve that. But she's the one that's got me through. Okay, when she should have abandoned me many times, she didn't. Okay, she put her own well-being, mental well-being to the side and invested in me and got me through. Okay, knowing that I needed to be a leader. There's no good leader if he doesn't have somebody by his side. Okay, and maybe that's in business, maybe that's whatever, but in marriage, in life, nobody's going to help you better than your spouse. She knows every inch about you. She can call you on your shit, okay, straight up.
And you need to let her do that. And it's not fun. It doesn't mean I like it when she does. And she'll say what she says, and then I'll have to move on and realize, okay, she was right, and come back and apologize later. All right? That's part of growing, right? So, life is a jungle. You need a guide to get you through in all the areas of it. Okay? And that's part of our purpose here. We don't just give you a program, tell you what to eat, and leave you on your merry way. Okay? I want to know how you're doing mentally. I want to know what happened today that maybe threw you off your game plan and you had a failure, right? You ate like you weren't supposed to eat. You missed a couple days training. I'm going to want to get to the why. And then I want to help you through it. Because what I'll do is dial things around a little bit to help you out. Life happens, right? I use the analogy a lot of you're a kid riding his bike down the street. Everything's cool. You got your Walkman on, right? You older people know what I'm talking about. And you're just cruising, man. You got your big gulp or your Speedy Q quart or whatever gas station you grew up around, and you went and you filled that sucker up with all the pops that it had to offer. And we used to call it a suicide, Drink that stuff now, you'd throw up and mess your pants. But back then, man, you could do anything you wanted and it not even affect you, right? So you're riding your bike, you're listening to your tunes, you're drinking your big gulp, your Slurpee, your slushy, or whatever it is. And then all of a sudden, somebody throws a football at your head and your bike does this and you crash, right? That's what life is. You're moving along, everything's just moving right along, the cylinders are all clicking, right? And you're just nailing your food, you're nailing your macros, you're nailing your workouts, you feel so damn good, and then something happens. You lose your job, you got into a fight, you got sick, something happened to one of your kids, right? And on it goes. Life has so many different things it can throw at you. And the first thing that everybody wants to let go of is their health. But that is the number one thing you need to get hold of and make sure stays on track. Because if you don't have that, you're not going to be able to handle what needs to be handled to fix the situation you just went through. Whether it's your mental health, which is guided by your physical health. All these things are so important. Okay? And so what we offer is we're going to get down there in the mud with you. We're going to cry with you. Okay, we're going to do whatever it is, because that's how much I attach myself to the people that have asked me for help. I've run a jail ministry with our a former church, right? For 7 years. Every Saturday I was in there helping men and women with the problems that got them there, right? And then once a month I would usually go and hold a Sunday service. All right, we was on a rotation. So I know what it's like to get involved and get attached to people who have made a mess out of their lives, okay? And I take those things personally. I literally will take on the anguish and the anxiety that these people have, almost to the detriment of myself, and that's where my wife pulls me back, right? Again, why it's valuable to have a good life partner. So I'm going to be right there with you, okay? I want to take you through everything because I want to get you back on track. I want to get you back on that bike. I want to fill your big gulp back up. I want to put your Walkman back on, get the music jamming, and get you back on your path to wherever you was headed on your bike, right? That's the goal. Not to stay down there with your pop spilt and having to cry all the time because you got nobody to help you to get up because you broke your leg, right? That's not what we're about. So we're more than just a coaching service, okay? We are a lifestyle, life helping, whatever kind of word you want to throw it on there, right? We're just everyday people that want to help people. That's my passion with this, okay? And by investing some of your money into that, it's going to hold you accountable. So, let me give you a couple examples. And again, I know I went on a rabbit trail there. And I'm going to try and keep these things under an hour, but that's not a guarantee, okay? When I get rattling, I get rattling, all right? So, with offering free advice, this is what I've learned. I'm the kind of guy that walks into a gym, and after being there for some time, people start to notice you. They notice what you're doing. They want to pick your brain, all right? And it has gotten to the point sometimes where there were certain people I would see in the gym that I would try not to make eye contact with, because I knew I was going to spend 30 minutes, because I'm that type of person. If you start asking me questions, I'm going to want to talk and teach to you. That's why I put my headphones on and keep to myself, right? I give you an example here. We had this one guy, just every time I walked in the gym, he just wanted to talk. And he admitted he was a chatty Cathy. That's the term he called himself, right? Constantly asking me the same questions about diet, about programming, about sleep, about vitamins, about, TRT, all these things. It's always the same thing, and I would spend 20, 25 minutes, and here I am getting cold after I've already got my blood moving, I'm pumped up, and I'm ready to get my workout going, right? And I've literally walked in and seen him, and I've tried to keep my eyes down, headphones on, and walk right to the corner, right? Sure enough, he'd try and catch my eye, and he's doing this kind of thing. And there's been more than one, right? And he'd come over and we start talking. Well, one time he asked to work in on a deadlift set, right? And I just knew, I said, and I'm not against people working in. If you have a good training partner, it can drive you, okay? I suggest you getting a good training partner that will just drive you, okay? But they have to be good and reliable, he or she. That's why my wife's my training partner. We're not always doing the same thing together. We're in the gym together, but when we need help, spotting or driving or whatever it is, we're there for each other, okay? And we get just as irritated with each other in the gym as any training partner would, right? We ain't perfect, especially as being a married couple, right? So anyways, I, against my better judgment, let him work in, told him, okay, I'm at this weight right here. Okay, I'm warming up, and I had 315 on the bar, right? I was warming up, and that's not a brag. It just is what it is. And in my mind, I knew, okay, I know this is going to be his top sets, even if he gets just 2 or 3. So I told him straight up, I said, this is just warm up. I'm going up after this. He said, that's cool. So he jumps in, and right after the first set, he starts asking me some of the same questions all over again. And I'm thinking to myself, be calm, Webb. Be firm. Tell him what you want to tell him, but be calm. Don't just pop off, right? Be respectful. So I proceeded to tell him like this. I says, look, man, I know when I walk in this gym, people probably think I'm a stuck-up ass, all right? And I'm not. I'm not here to make friends. I'm friendly. I stop and talk to people when they approach me. Sometimes I'll give advice if it's unsolicited because I can tell somebody's struggling, they don't know what they're doing. And there have been times where I was told by younger guys, well, I've been doing this for 5 years, and I'm like, okay, I've only been doing it for 35, but I guess you know everything. And I just move on, and that just teaches me, hey, don't offer unsolicited advice, which kind of... All right, so there's going to be a little bit of a splice there, but I forgot to empty some of the stuff off my phone so that it cut me right off in the middle of what I was saying. So, anyways, back to my story. So this guy wanted to cut in with me right into deadlift. And what I had proceeded to tell him is, look, I know people, when I walk into this gym, probably think I'm a stuck-up ass. All right? And it's not. I'm a friendly person. I will give anybody advice if they come and ask me for it. That's just the type of person I am. And you can ask absolutely anybody that knows me. That's just the type of person I am. I'm passionate about the things that I care about and believe in. All right? I says, but when I tell people in this gym or any gym I go to or in any aspect of life, when I give my time and knowledge to people over and over and over and over again, only to have them come back and ask me the same questions, and I can see what you're doing over there and you're not instituting anything I've told you in the past, I just don't want to waste my time. And there's been multiple stories where I could share with you guys of the same thing happening, right? So the reason I decided to actually turn this into a business and start charging people is I understand that if people have something invested, then they're going to pay attention and implement what you're telling them. They're not going to want to throw their money away, okay? Especially in this day and age when everything is just so damn expensive. So that's why we charge. I've always used to feel guilty about giving away information that was all stuck up here and it's just staying up here, and who's it benefiting, right? But at the same time, I got tired of just wasting my time in a gym and anywhere and my effort and my mouth and everything for people that just don't want to listen. They just want to stand there and talk and feel good about themselves saying, yeah, I'm going to try that. And then they never do. And you know they don't, because they're doing the same thing day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. So it's quite evident that they didn't listen to you. I just don't want to waste my time. I want to help people that want to be helped and are willing to have some investment, some skin in the game, so that they're actually going to apply what we're trying to do. Okay? So that's our purpose of Blue Water Physique, which is the name of our coaching service. both me and my wife. Hopefully it grows to the point where maybe we have to bring on a couple more coaches, okay, because we're meeting the needs of the people and want to continue to do that. We've got a few clients right now. I just started it as a business, so I'm learning as I go. I just introduced myself to a business networking group that meets here in the Blue Water area. Shout out to my longtime friend Lester Wilkins at Blue Water Home Loans. All right, not only did he help me get the house that we're in, which also has this separate garage that I've turned into my man cave / studio, and I will be improving on the presentation and the way this studio looks. I have a lot going on up here that I want to share with people, and so thank you, Lester, for inviting me to that. Thank you for getting the ball rolling and showing me that I'm capable of doing these things. Thank you to my wife, Brandy. Thank you to some of my co-workers, Dave and Ryan, who have been telling me for years I should go this route. And I just ignored it, kind of saying that nobody really wants to listen to me. Thank you for friends in the church, Dean and Lori, our new pastor, Pastor Alex, some of the other men that are in there. You know, we're at a new church. We've been there a year, but the people in there have been so supportive already. It's been tremendous. Thank you, Tim Floyd, a buddy of mine who's really been going through a lot lately. Okay. And you can follow all these people on their social media pages. And Tim and his family have just really been through it. But, you know, me and him have been good friends now for 25 years. All right. And we've walked through a lot. And when I say a lot, I'm talking about a lot. But he's another man that is into lifting and things like that too. But he really had a life-altering experience that has kind of changed the dynamic of what he can do. And it's pretty discouraging. And I know how discouraging that is. And part of what I want to do is help people that are in that type of situation, right? I want to help bring you out. I want to help get you back on the bike, back on whatever it is that you like to ride or do, and get you headed on the right path, all right? I want to help you to be good examples to your kids. You know, me and my wife have been into lifting. When we started dating, I got her involved in lifting. At 145 pounds with almost no experience, I got her deadlifting 225 pounds for reps, okay? Which was pretty good for somebody who had never deadlifted before. So, and we've been on this journey, and our kids have watched us in a public gym, at our home gym, all throughout their childhood. Okay, they've filmed us. They've been out there just hanging out as kids, being part of it. If you follow way back on any of our social media pages, you'll kind of watch them grow up too, right? And for years, you know, you couldn't get them to want to do anything. They play around here and there. Well, finally, all of them are involved in the gym in one way or another. My oldest daughter, I gave her a program. She's been killing it over at Planet Fitness. My daughter that's going to be getting married here pretty soon is we got her into boxing 3 years ago, and she's just killing it with that. And she goes into the gym too. Her soon-to-be husband, we've helped him with programming, okay? And he's a really good kid, and he's a boxer, Justin Pledger, you know, so follow him too. You know, he had a pro fight scheduled here for a couple of weeks, and that kind of fell through, so I'm really bummed out about that. But Justin, there's going to be more. Don't worry about it. So yeah, guys, just look up all these people. Follow all these people. Give them some love, show them some support. Matt and Tim Browning, over there with their boxing gym, you know, getting our girls into that's one of the best things. Only one girl stuck with it, but it was one of the best things that we ever did. It's where she met her fiance, where Emily met her fiance. So Riverside Sports Academy, give those guys some love over there. Matt and Tim, you know, they like to call me Pops, and I accept that, you know. Having been a part of watching them grow and kind of giving them some tips and pointers and things like that, and even coached Tim there for a little while, helping him bulk up here a couple years ago and getting him a little bit stronger, and that's what he wanted, so helped him out with that. They've been through there for us through some of the hard times, and that's what I believe when you get involved with this is you're developing relationships, friendships that last a lifetime, right? And that's what we at Blue Water Physique have to offer. Okay, so I just wanted to thank all those people that have supported me and helped drive me to this point where I finally took the plunge, got up enough guts and courage to say, you know what, I'm going to do it, let the chips fall where they may. I'm going to keep doing it regardless of how successful it gets or doesn't get. I'm going to keep putting it out there. Maybe people will stumble across it as time goes on. Who knows how long it'll be able to help people, right? Maybe after I'm long gone and no longer here, right? That's my goal. That's the goal of Blue Water Physique, okay? So with that said, all the thanks, kind of the possibilities, right? What we're trying to do. Okay, they say possibilities are endless, and I'm going to wrap this up here, real quick. But the possibilities I see in the future is uh, a coaching business that does a lot of things for the community. Okay, not just teaching people how to work out and eat better, but getting involved in different things, different community programs. You know, helping the youth. Going into high schools and helping your athletes in there get on the right track and not get faulty information and pick up on these influencers. We all know that teenagers, especially in high school and even in their early 20s, are easily influenced, and there's a bunch of rats out there that are willing to just take everything they have and not care where they end up. Okay, that's not how we operate. We're going to be there through all the thick and thin, even for the teenagers that want to come to us. Okay, so I think the possibilities are kind of endless, limitless, and in the aspect of what we can do. I want to work with our church and other churches that want to have a Saturday afternoon, Saturday morning, 45-minute hour hit training style. Just get out there, get the blood pumping, make you feel good about yourself, and then, come back the next week. It's just endless things that I think we can do when people start talking and see that we're out here, right? About 10 years ago, I tried to get, 13, 14 years ago, actually, I tried to open a small strongman CrossFit style gym in this area, and it didn't go anywhere, right? It just wasn't the time. And I'm not offering a gym. Okay, I'm going to point you to gyms where you can implement what I teach you, okay, and what I bring to you. That's how I think this can be successful. And I don't care if it's Planet Fitness or the most hardcore bodybuilding gym in your area. For us, it's Blue Water Fitness, okay? Man, Jake, I can't speak highly enough of how you kept it in the game. They bought Viking Fitness there in Port Huron on 24th and Lapeer, and not even a year or so into it, the roof caved in, right? And just ended everything. And they were able to work things out and pass memberships along, and now they finally got a spot here a couple months ago, and man, I couldn't be more excited. It literally is going to turn into a hardcore bodybuilding gym, and that's what this area needs. So if you're looking for a good gym like that, Blue Water Fitness. They're on Instagram, they're on Facebook. Just go give them a follow. Jake is the owner. Sorry, Jake, I can't think of your partner's name. And your wife, who's there by your side all the time, apologize for not remembering your name either. The more we get to know each other. But Jake and I talk quite often, texting each other, shooting him ideas of equipment that he should have in his gym. And, they got an awesome space, and I just love working out there. It's been 100 degrees. They don't have air conditioning in that place right now, but that, to me, that's awesome. It's a clean facility with good equipment, but when I talk about old school, hardcore, gritty, just get in there and get it done, that's what it is. But with a modern, clean environment, okay? I'm not talking about the old school where they spit on the floor and never pick up their weights and never dust, never clean, and mold on the walls. That's not what I mean, okay? So if you don't have a good gym, Blue Water Fitness is the place to be, okay? Anywhere within 25 miles at least of the Port Huron area. Blue Water Fitness is the gym that you should be at. So plug into you there, Jake, in your business. Thank you for everything that you're doing. The possibilities of working with you and reaching people and giving them a good coaching service. The Riverside Sports Academy. All the different types of things, right? Lester Wilkins, Blue Water Home Loans, all these different things for the areas that we're trying to bring together a bunch of stuff, right? And I'm not being sponsored by anybody. I'm not being in collaboration with any of those folks. They're just friends of mine. And I believe in spreading the word and if they got a business, I want to point you to their business, right? Dano's Dumpsters. I just had a good conversation with them and their rep there. If you're looking to have a dumpster dumped out to your place, you need to get rid of garbage, or you're tearing down a home, they're gonna meet your needs. I'm not sponsored by them, folks. I don't have any sponsors. But I don't care about just dropping names for people that I care about and have proven themselves to me to be honest, reputable, caring people. Okay? That's just how I'm going to operate. Regardless if I get 1 red cent out of it, I'm just going to tell you like it is. Okay? And I'm not even trying to get a sponsorship by any of these people. All right? Everybody's struggling in business right now. Nobody's got any money to spare and things like that. That's not what I'm about. Coach Steve Shaw, he's been a coach for a long time. He was my coach for a year. Got me back in shape when we went off the rails again, and just different types of people that have helped. Coach Will, who is taking us through our bodybuilding journey right now. I'm on a cut. And when we started in March, I was back up to 240 pounds. And he gave me some tips, wrote me a small program, and coaches need coaches, right? If you've got a specific goal, you need somebody to hold you accountable. I got a million other things going on. I need somebody to tell me what I need to do, kind of like what I'm offering to you guys, right? And I pretty much trained myself, but he gave me some pointers, gave me some tips. He's answered questions along the way. And when we finally get hot and heavy into this thing, it's going to be everything he tells me to do. When we actually full-time get into prep mode come February, where we're giving him 20 weeks to do exactly what he needs to do to get us on a bodybuilding stage, this summer was spent getting my physique into a point where now we know what you have, and this is what we need to do to get you where you need to be. And being on a cut is not fun. I've been on one since mid-March. I'm hungry. All right, I'm just going to be straight up. My calories are about 2,200 a day. I'm working my ass off in the gym. Like I said, I got a full-time job, and I'm not just pussyfooting around in the gym. My physique is completely transformed because I changed the way I think about my training. I changed the way I think about my nutrition. I changed the way I think about sleep. I'm a guy that hated having to go to sleep because I never slept good anyways. And to me, it's just wasting my time because at night, in bed, I like to read. I like to just let my brain get rid of everything that's in it because everybody's quiet and safe and I know where they're at. The world is just down. And that was my time to kind of come alive and do my thinking and cleaning out and that type of thing. But it was killing me. It was killing my progress. It was killing my physique. So I made a determination 2 months ago, you know what? 10:30, lights out. Sometimes it's 11 on the weekend, sometimes it's a little later, but we do everything we can. 10:30, lights are out, okay? And it made a huge difference in my physique and everything. My CPAP machine is gone. I'm now sitting at a body weight of 195 pounds. The goal is to get down to 185. That's where the coach wants it. I'm going to try and push myself down to 180 to try and strip off as much body fat as I possibly can so I can actually see what I have. And if you follow any of my TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram, you're going to see how my physique has progressed and where we're at, where we was. The same with my wife. Follow her on Instagram too, Quad Mom Brandy. And yeah, this is where we're at, guys. So I'm in the middle of it. I got a coach too. I suggest you hire us on. All these different types of things and possibilities, not just for us, but for you. Making a lot of friends on the way. So I'd ask, spread the word. Let people know that we're here to help. If you think of somebody that's looking, just drop our handle. My phone number is on all those social medias, but I'll just say it. It's 586-220-9732. Again, in case you're getting a pen and a paper, 586-220-9732. You can give me a call. If I don't answer right away, it's because I'm busy or I'm working. The things I'm responsible for at work are high level, so they demand my attention immediately, okay? So I don't cut into my work time with this. I don't believe that's being honest. They're paying me for a good day's work, and I'm going to give them a good day's work. And a lot rides on what I do for the company, making sure people are staying compliant, okay? Because it could mean losing contracts if we have men and women out there that are doing things they're not qualified to do. We could literally lose millions of dollars if we're putting people out in the field that are not prepared. Okay, so that's part of my responsibility. So you can imagine the mental headspace and the things I go through. And doing something like this helps me. Helps me not just think my life just revolves around work, but actually doing something that I'm passionate about. I can finally share it with people and make a difference in my community. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. This is our first episode. I'm going to do the best I can in making improvements with the studio, with my recording equipment, with everything, right? Presentation, whatever it is. If you guys got suggestions, drop them in the comments here on Spotify, or go to our social media page, or DM us or whatever, okay? And let me know. Just straight up let me know what you think this needs and what would help you. All right? So, Muscle-Ology. Thing I'm going to close with is, why did I choose such a name after I, went through a couple other different names? Yeah, it's catchy. Number 2, Muscle-Ology. Ology has the idea of the doctrine of something, okay? I'm not going to get into all the Greek and the Latin and all that type of things where ology, logos, all that type of stuff. That's not what I'm about here anyways, okay? But muscle-ology. So basically, if ology is the idea of the doctrine or teaching of something, like theology, Scientology, what all these different, I didn't want to say that one. That was almost a faux pas because I don't believe in what they do, but they use that word ology, okay? There's a lot of different teachings out there that they have the name ology, O-L-G-Y, behind it. And what that word means is the doctrine of something, whatever it is before it. So muscleology is the doctrine or teaching of muscle and everything involved with gaining muscle and what happens when you lose muscle and how to stop that. And that's nutrition, that's sleep, that's training, that's supplements, that's gear, that's testosterone replacement. It's all these different types of things, right? That's what the name muscleology means. So with that, I'm going to close. Talk to you guys on the next one.